From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big early morning of Early Mornings LALATE, and I'm back for this Thursday morning. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, this early morning's broadcast, we have the breaking news about those monthly stimulus check, why the Democrats may be likely giving you more months of checks. Then we turn to the recon, and why that recon is now confirmed. A lot of other sums of money are in there for you, as I have been reporting. I have the details of what those sums of money are. Then the vote. We have the confirmation about the vote. The dates, the bill, the drafting, both the bipartisan and the recon. It's coming up in the final 15 of this video. And then we cut to fifth stimulus, raise your benefits up a lifetime, with a new benchmark of inflation. And Jay Powell spoke about inflation on Capitol Hill yesterday. He's back, but was he wearing purple? We'll see. And then we cut to the big money that viewers continue to give across the board. Tens of thousands of dollars. It's your day to get that big money as well. It's a big morning. It's a big early morning. It's starting right here. It's starting right now. The toast is toasting. The butter is buttering. I'm here. You're here. Let's get to it. Starting right here. Beautiful Thursday morning, almost to the weekend. Boy, we're getting exciting here. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, so much breaking news. But first, the weather. It's been better here in LA. How's the weather this Thursday where you are? Jump in the live chat right now and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we first go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats may be likely giving you more months of checks than initially thought. Then we turn to the fourth stimulus recon, and that recon has other sums of money in it I've been reporting. Now I'm going to show you what those sums of money are. It's all breaking on this big news morning of Early Morning's broadcast. In the third part of this video, we have a deal, potentially by the end of today, about what's in the bipartisan. We have a deal about the price tag of the recon. We have a lot of deals just formulated in the last few hours. A lot of breaking news on both the bills, the vote, the deals. I have everything that's happening. It's getting very exciting, very good news. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which is this fall. And what Jay Powell said about inflation, it's heating up. And then we turn to the thousands of dollars of viewers continue to get, like Nisi, who got $23,000 for his channel, John, who got $12,000. Art Sullivan, who got three sums of money. I'll go over how you can get tens of thousands of dollars. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Mornings LALATE, live on air. I'm back with you at 9 a.m., followed by noontime at 11 a.m. Mornings Crypto. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers at YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Also, like this video. Every like helps in the algorithm rankings. It also delivers a piñata and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that monthly stimulus check starting right now. House bill, Senate proposal. Suddenly everything changed so quickly. House bill, pandemic plus 1 year, Senate proposal, July to December. Let's go over the payouts. The payouts for the House, $1,000 after the first month of 2,000. Senate amount is unknown, but word on the street is this. Wow, now that's deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Deliciousness. $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. Deliciousness. But suddenly the deliciousness took a very unusual turn. We had been saying 2 weeks ago that maybe the pandemic's not over. But maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We thought that maybe the House bill would just be reduced to 1 year of checks, which is $13,000, because the pandemic may be considered over. Then it looked like maybe the pandemic's not over. Now it's definitely clear the pandemic's not over. And hence, if we go back to that House bill, suddenly that House bill looks like a lot more money. That House bill would likely present a lot more checks. And those a lot more checks would amount to a lot more than $13,000. Compare that to this. I think you have an opinion. Vote now, vote how. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? Vote right now. I want to see you voting. Amazing how things change so quickly. My opinion has changed. Has your opinion changed? Fourth stimulus. Who would get the fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent if you got third stimulus check, you get a fourth. Single individual, 75,000 or less. Democrats represent you would get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats represent you would get a fourth stimulus check. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or any benefits, Democrats represent you would get a fourth stimulus check. And a household 4 or less, Democrats represent you would get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Quadruple it. A married couple, double it. Fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. Fourth stimulus check would not come in different amounts to different people. It's the same amount for everyone. And then the fourth stimulus check would not come in waves. It's not a waivable check. Hey, check! Don't wave at the check. It's not a waivable check. It's a monthly check. Hey, check! I see you're getting the cappuccino. Watched Sirloin last night? Cappuccino? Yeah. A rude check. How dare you disrespect Sirloin? It's not a rude check. It's just not a viewer. It doesn't have eyeballs. It's a check. There's no eyeballs in checks. The fourth stimulus check would come in the month of July, for the month of July. Those Democrats have represented. And in the month of August, for the month of August. In the second part of this video, we'll be going over the second part of a fourth stimulus check update, which is the recon. We have confirmation now that the recon has other sums of money in there. And I'll go over what those other sums of money are. In the third part of this video, we have a lot of great breaking news. On the recon front, we have the provisions. We have an agreement about the price tag. On the Republican side, for the bipartisan, we have an agreement upon when to get it done and a potential as to when the vote is. Lord, everything moved very quickly. That's coming up later. Here's a preview of the second half of this video for fifth stimulus. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, testified on Capitol Hill yesterday and gave us insight about inflation, which raised your benefits up under fifth stimulus for my SSI, VA, and everyone else. I'll have all the breaking details for that. But first, let's get some moolah. Let's get some money. If you're new to this channel, this is what I do. And boy, I'm so excited for you. You have done an incredible job. If you're on the live chat right now, post the rent, the utilities, the internet, the SNAP that you've gotten. Post it right now. When we were talking about rent on this channel, I was saying it's about $5,000 I can get you, about 4 to 6 months of rent. I was wrong. I've been getting viewers $12,000, $13,000 for rent. I got Nisi $20,000 for rent. I have a lot of viewers getting $13,000 daily for this channel because of rent. For SNAP, I said, hey, I have a couple of viewers getting $5,000 to $6,000. Now I have viewers getting $12,000 for SNAP. For utilities, I said, hey, I can get you maybe $300 from this video. Viewers are getting $3,000 for utilities. So get that pen and paper ready. I'm going to show you how to get this big pot of money because this is what I do. In 2020, we were waiting for EIDL loans and grants to get approved, and they were not being sent out. So I launched this channel not to track the check because it wasn't coming. I launched this channel to get you checks. And if all 2020 was like now, when we were waiting for second stimulus to become law, it was not becoming law. I got viewers $250,000, like viewers like Tyrone. $15,000 for his family for during the holidays. So get that pen and paper ready. We're going to go over the big money, pots of money I can get you right now. And each has their own eligibility. So if you reach out to one, it says no, reach out to the next. Are you ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID. Or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know. Like muddled purple. They don't know that. Teal. Teal? I know seal. I don't know teal. Was that a singer what song does Teal cover? I don't know that song. Or a teal princess. They don't know that either. So don't say words they don't know because it won't help you. And congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful pot of money for rent. If you got rent as well, post in the live chat. Here we go to Snap. If you got Snap, post as well. Lynn Glenn got it as well for SNAP, her son, her mom, and herself. Gail got it, and John got $12,000 for SNAP. How much? What is SNAP? It is money for food. How do you get it? From the Department of Agriculture. How much does it pay? A fortune. Family of four gets upwards of $16,000 a year now. Wow. Why so much money? Because of two executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raised everyone's benefits up between now and December 15% nationally. Wow. So go get it. You're killing it. $15,000 for SNAP, $5,000 for rent, and we're only 9 minutes into this video. Well, I got more money for you right now, and it's the money coming back from your state. States have been ordered to return money back to you due to overpayment of unemployment benefits, and that money is coming back, and that money is a fortune. One viewer got $30,000, another viewer got $5,000. Where? Direct deposit. When? Go to IRS. Reach out to the respective state say, state, hey, where is that refund check to overpayment of computer error, unemployment benefits due to computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works this time? And finally, the wonderful refund check due to overpayment of your unemployment benefits. Post in the live chat if you got this as well. Margaret got it, Cog got it, Michael got it. And I got breaking news about this one as well if I have my notes, because I literally have 35 pages of breaking news notes on set today. Direct deposits, if you've not gotten it, this is what IRS said yesterday. Direct deposits will start July 14th, and those via paper check will begin July 16th. More refunds will continue through the summer, and the average amount of the refund is about $1,265. Congratulations. Wow. So when, where, and how? First, let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. You're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit or in the mail. When? You just heard. Can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov. Do a transcript search. 70% of the time it works. It reveals stuff that you knew and some stuff that you don't want to know. In fact, stuff that you wish you never knew. It'll reveal the tax return you filed, the tax return you paid. It'll reveal, is muddled really a word? And is it muddled or murdered? It'll reveal, is range of option really a range, or is this just options? And then it'll reveal the refund check you're going to get. Can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your fourth stimulus check update 2021 starting right now. Well, here we are. 3 weeks have passed since the recon was split. It originally was this monstrosity, had the roads and bridges in there. But the Democrats asked each other, will you vote in favor of this massive recon that has roads and bridges in there? They did this over 3 weeks ago. They said, no, take the roads and bridges out. So they did. 3 weeks ago, yesterday, they took roads and bridges out. That's split day. And it shrunk the recon, putting the roads and bridges into something called the bipartisan, and your money staying in something called roads and bridges, now called the recon. Now, what's important to know is that these terms, these names of these things are tripping up some viewers, because I'm getting some private messages and they're getting confused. It's not your fault. I mean, bipartisan is not the easiest word to use. And when I go over this, I call this recon and bipartisan. And trust me, the problem is that there are certain people including this guy, who keeps on changing the names for these things. It's like they're a pop singer and they keep on, reinventing their group name. I mean, I thought that was Bruno Mars. That's not Bruno Mars' song. It's someone else. It's very confusing. So let me go over what's going on. The money at issue is, first, roads and bridges is called bipartisan. It could also be called, roads and bridges could also be called infrastructure. It could also be called anything Mitt Romney's working on. If you see Mitt Romney working on, it's bipartisan. Lisa Murkowski, bipartisan. Okay. The other one, recon. What is it also called? Reconciliation. Forced stimulus. The budget bill. The budget balancing thing. Or what the Democrats are doing. Or what Bernie Sanders has a quote about. That's that thing. And trust me, it's very confusing. And then, hey, if you got that all settled and you got that figured out, I'm about to confuse you more. Build Back America. What? That refers to both of them. Yeah, that just sort of came out of it. No, it was actually an article talking about, now he's changed the name again. And the American Jobs Plan Family. We got enough names for now. The great news is now it's passable. The recon is now passable. We had that confirmation from conservative media because GOP came out and said it. A beautiful op-ed explained the details. The higher the price tag was on the recon, the harder it was to pass. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the provisions of the recon and put into the bipartisan roads and bridges, made the recon passable. Smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Sorry, Mitch. Sorry to set you up. Now, here's what's different on this early morning's broadcast is I usually read you the next quote, which says the GOP should not be supporting this because it's now making the recon passable. Here's the great news is the GOP is now supporting the bipartisan, and it's heading to the finish line. So they love the bipartisan, the Republicans, and that's coming up later in this video. Yeah, it's getting very exciting. So now, I have been telling you for 2.5 weeks that the fact that the recon had been shrunk by taking roads and bridges out, the progressives were able to add some stuff in, and I told you they were adding some stuff in. Now we have confirmation. I'm going to reveal to you the stuff they added in. There you go. Confirmation from my reporting. Representative Ilhan Omar had said that they were adding stuff in. We have a commitment that regardless of what happens to the bipartisan, the Congress will give us a recon that goes as far as we want it. And then Representative Richie Torres says, I refuse to vote for the bipartisan unless it's linked to the larger recon. And he's put in housing. Well, and the Progressive Caucus have been meeting with the president daily to put other things in there. Well, my reporting was confirmed because later in this recording, I'm going to go over the items that are in the recon. Here they are. Very, very exciting details. Lots of checks for lots of people. How are they able to do this? Because Brian Schatz and John Paul said the president had told them to protect the recon, and they were. And Schatz said that the White House considers the progressive priorities in there his own priorities. Now, let me go over what a recon is, reconciliation, so you understand what's going on. A reconciliation is a bill. In this case, it's actually two bills, reconciliation procedural, reconciliation substantive. It's written by House subcommittee members, in this case, several different committees. House subcommittees are delegated subject matters based upon how the House subcommittee is established. And in this case, like House Ways and Means subcommittee does stimulus checks, they also do unemployment benefits. They ultimately write it with the Senate subcommittees overlooking it as well. And then when they're done, they just send it up to Nancy. Let's say 10 subcommittees and 10 pages. She combines it, then there's a 100-page bill. Under the Constitution, there's no requirement that the subcommittee actually show you what they're writing, show you what they're voting on, show you what they're putting in there. There is no constitutional requirement they do it, so you need to push purple power. But what is actually in there? As I knock out the cord, I just saw that coming. You saw that coming. I was just sort of leaning down. I was like, okay, there goes my foot. And I just sort of leaned down and just sort of hit right into the cord. You could see it. It was just like my foot got caught. I was like, ah. So what are the House Ways and Means subcommittee members doing? Well, let's go over the details. Jalapal got us here by writing that wonderful letter about 2 weeks ago saying, Chuck, call the vote. That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats from about 100 plus who had written the president a letter saying they're going to put monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 of those House subcommittee members on the House Ways and Means wrote the president a letter about a week ago saying we're going to put monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Now, they are, again, the people who actually write the recon in the Ways and Means Committee for stimulus. And they say we're putting monthly stimulus checks in there. You got to hold them to their promise, folks. They also say they're doing a 5th one next year. That's coming up later in this video. Can we top that? We can, as the president has now made it official. That international agreement you saw him go overseas 3 weeks ago for a ceremonial signing is now official just a few days ago. That is the international corporate tax rate minimum. It's huge because now it makes fourth stimulus recon passable. Number one, why? Because you don't need this provision about international corporate taxes in the recon. It's in the international law now. Number two, it's easier to call it, to write it, easier to write the recon, easier to call the vote, easier to get the vote to the finish line, and easier to pass it because it's not in there. Wow. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the third and final major 15, the final 15 of this video, where I go over all the provisions of what's in the recon, or some of the provisions of what's in the recon. Then I go over all the breaking news about the vote, the bill, the date for both the bipartisan and the recon. It's just getting very exciting, great news ever since Tuesday night. And those details are coming up, and what you should expect is more. But first, something wonderful, and that is the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, or internet or SNAP, reach out to them. How do you find them? Go in the description of this video. Go down the description, you'll see the volunteers. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Actually, if you go down the video and you'll see the description, it'll say community page. Click the community page. It sends you over to news.la.com/community. On the community page, the volunteers separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them, and they'll help you get that rent, that utilities, that internet, and SNAP. They cannot get you muddled anything. We don't muddle here. But here's a little bit about them. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds with the big exciting details about fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. Stay with me. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the early morning's broadcast for this Thursday morning crashes into the surf starting right now as we go over the final part of your fourth stimulus check updated 2021 today. So much breaking news. Boy, we have the vote, the bill, the dates. It's just getting exciting, folks. So stay with me coming up in this video. We also go over fifth stimulus and Jay Powell speaking about that inflation rate is coming up. So subscribe, 400,000 subscribers. Why don't you hit that subscribe button right now? If you're not a member, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button right now. Grow this community, grow that Purple Power family. Also like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the channel, the pinned comment. Coming up next this morning is Mornings LA. I'll be live on air with new programming. Then noontime. And also, Mornings Crypto, all new shows today. So I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to have you here. And let's get right into fifth stimulus, which started with Jay Powell speaking yesterday on Capitol Hill. His comments were the following, that inflation is going up and that it will reach a higher peak later this year. This stimulus will raise your benefits up, then remove the asset limit, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the income exclusion, and remove the marriage penalty. This is all part of the SSI and SSDI reform under fifth stimulus. What did Jay Powell say on Capitol Hill yesterday? He said that, I'm not really changing my position on where inflation's heading. So he thinks it's still going up. He thinks it's temporary or transitory, that's their term, and then coming down after that. Well, his only difference was he gives a number for inflation that's lower than Wall Street. He always does. But Wall Street's literally looking still at 4%. So let's go over how this works. First, your benefits will be raised up one time. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or multiple beneficiaries. Then they'll apply that benchmark. That benchmark is inflation. And that benchmark is applied at the end of the year for next year's benefits. Well, Jay Powell said it's reaching its highest point at the end of this year. How high? Gotta choose a number. I mean, Wall Street's saying 10, they're saying 20, they're saying 5%. Let's use 5% as the inflation rate. Well, your benefits will step up 5%. Not just next year, a lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So if the inflation rate the year after that is 1%, then your benefits will be plus 5, plus 1%. Wow. Then what else are they doing under this reform? Well, they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 on your hand. And now you'll be able to have some stimulus checks in your hand and room for a taco. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to work if you wish and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear the marriage penalty or be penalized, but it's not retroactive. Well, if you're in the live chat and you're watching, you're like, wait a second, there's a lot of people with the emoji of a purple hawk, and they're all posting the sums of money that they're getting, rent and utilities and internet. How do I get a purple hawk? How come I'm not getting that money? Consider becoming a member. The link to join member is under the video where it says join. Also open the description, also the top of the chat. By becoming a member, I deliver to you daily a breakdown of all the big money that is in these different stimulus packages. There is money in the third stimulus. There is money in the fourth proposed, and there's money in the fifth. When third stimulus was passed, I said, yeah, you're going to have a $1,400 stimulus check, but I'm going to get you $14,000. And I have. I got viewers $250,000 under second stimulus. I'm getting viewers a fortune right now as well. You're doing an incredible job. So consider becoming a member because the link at the top of the channel, the pinned comment, results in me delivering to you daily a breakdown of all this big money under fourth stimulus, rent, utilities, more, and across the board. And there you go. And with that, let's go into the big finale of what's going on in the recon, what's going on in the bipartisan, the final fourth stimulus check update of 2021, final 15, and may actually go a little bit longer than 15 because we're ahead of schedule at the moment. All right, here you go. First, what happens on July 4th? July 4th, they couldn't get it done. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer said 1,000 times that July 4th would be the vote date, final vote date on the recon. They said that at the time that they thought that that massive recon, which had yet to be split, that at that time still had roads and bridges in there, would be passed by the Democratic caucus. No, couldn't do because it was too big. So they had to shrink it. All right. So over the last maybe week, I was going over with you, well, then why didn't they do it this way? And why didn't they do it that way? I don't think I need to do that type of coverage anymore because now we have progress. Now we have progress as to both items. Let's go over the progress as to both items, rather focusing on the negative of what they didn't do by a date. The progress number one on the recon side. Recon is your money. Well, on Tuesday night, a major announcement was made by the Democratic senators. That announcement was they had reached an agreement officially as to the total price tag of the fourth stimulus recon, $3.5 trillion. This is huge. First of all, let me explain what this means. This is how they always do these. They start with the price, and then they come back and fill in the pieces. Not that they haven't done any work on the pieces yet. So the price tag always does come first. And this agreement was led by Senate Democrats, who are ultimately the ones that are really the big decision makers in this ball of wax, because they're the ones that, they have to get they have to get all of them to agree upon. $3.5 trillion. This is huge for so many reasons. Number one, it's an enormous number. If you hear the number and you've been my viewer from day one, you've never seen a number really this enormous. It's just enormous. So if anyone's wondering whether there's money for you in a $3.5 trillion price tag, it's just hard to think that there isn't. It's $3.5 trillion. That's the first thing. The second one is that the reaction to the news was just incredible by Senate Democrats. They called it historic, a game changer. Chuck Schumer said that this was just astronomical. He said, we're very proud of this plan. We know we have we know we're going to get this done for the sake of making the American people's lives a lot better. Bernie Sanders says it's robust in many ways. It's a pivotal moment in American history, which will end an era in which rich people and big companies get the stimulus and Americans don't. Those days are gone. The wealthy and large corporations are going to start paying their fair share of taxes so we can protect the working families of this country. Then we had a comment somewhere else from Tim Kaine. Oh, here it is. That said, this is huge because once you get the price tag, you just fill in the pieces. The goal is for the budget committee to be on the same page and selling to the caucus. Once the budget committee is on the same page, numbers start to come out. So the budget committee, which is led by Bernie, got that came up with a 3.5 trillion, and then the Senate Democrats said yes. So that's what he is saying, Tim Kaine. It's huge. So that is the recon agreement. Then we have the provisions of the recon. Now, let me back up. Let me give you a preface for this. There was a conservative publication that ran an article a few days ago that said, that recon is just too many checks for people who don't need checks. And look how horrible this recon is. So that was the topic of the article. And what did they do? They chose some of the provisions of the recon, not all of them, and to talk about how they said they're so horrible. So this is not coverage right now about all the provisions of the recon, and you're certainly not going to hear mention of stimulus checks because that's not what the article is about. It's about to talk about stuff that should else not be in there. So here's what else is in the recon. Here we go: free school meals for all, then tax breaks, cheaper prescription for all. And this is a lot of cheaper prescription. Immigration reform, greener farming, which is money for the farmers. Sir Long got his money. Money for the elections. Closing the digital divide, which is basically, and you're going to be shocked when you hear this, giving money to cities and counties so they can start their own free internet company, and you can get free internet locally. Oh, wow. Yeah, you heard me right on that one. Clean energy perks, where you get checks for clean energy things. Then worker protection checks, which are union checks and extended collective bargaining checks. Medicare checks, which is basically lowering the eligibility age, and also coverage for dental, vision, and hearing care that may not have been covered as well before. Just a lot of things in there. It's very, very exciting. That's the recon. Now we have, surprisingly, a big great news about the bipartisan. Now, remember, the bipartisan is not your money. It's roads and bridges. Unless you own a road or bridge, it doesn't concern you. But you know how important the bipartisan is to the recon for the procedure. Why? Because they have to call the vote on the recon concurrently or before the bipartisan. But the bipartisan can't be not done. I already did that coverage to this channel. There's been enough Senate Democrats that said, no, you can't call the recon for a vote now and get to the bipartisan in November or next year. We have to have them done, within the same time, the same week, the same day, or the same hour. So viewers of this channel have been asking, when is the bipartisan? When is the bipartisan? When are they done with the bipartisan so our money can also go to the finish line? So, out of nowhere, Tuesday started as a debacle, looking like the bipartisan was falling apart. By Tuesday night, they had to do a deal. What? But the agreement among the bipartisan group was that by Thursday, today, that they would have a deal agreement as to the provisions of the bipartisan, which is not the actual bill, but basically the meat and potatoes of the bill. We're going to have an agreement about what's going to be in the bill. And that agreement's going to be reached today, Thursday. And while they may always have things that have to get added on a little bit later, that's the agreement. And then they tentatively hope to have the vote next week. More about that in a second. So the comments were all celebratory. Joe Manchin had celebratory comments. Then Mitt Romney had celebratory comments. We hope to get most of the issues resolved by Thursday. Lisa Murkowski, who I think I just skipped, had celebratory comments. Rolling. Productive, said Kristen Sinema. Just both Democrats and conservatives said, hey, we think we're getting this done. Even Mitch McConnell was excited. And so suddenly the bipartisan went from looking like something that maybe the Republicans don't want to something the Republicans absolutely do want to get. And from something we said, hey, are you getting it done? To now saying, hey, we're going to have maybe the provisions of it all done today, and that hopefully we'll have the vote for next week. What is my opinion situation? Well, there's a middle-of-the-road publication out there, a newswire service that's neither Republican or conservative, that basically says they could get it done next week, but they could get the vote done next week, but it's a real stretch. But that's still good news for the recon people, because remember, the recon has to go for a vote right before the bipartisan. So it's all great news across the board. Here's what you need to remember, is that it's very easy to get confused because there is literally 3 bills. 2 of them have the name recon in front of it, and the other one is not. It's bipartisan. If you're hearing news coverage, and you hear news coverage say the infrastructure plan, or the bipartisan, or anything from Mitch or Mitt Romney or Lisa Murkowski or Joe Manchin, turn it off, because that's not your bill. This is sort of like the airport at the baggage claim. Because I got a lot of messages, private messages from people saying, I heard about the infrastructure. They're not talking about American people's money, because that's the infrastructure. It's called the bipartisan. And I know it's very confusing because they keep on changing names. Even the articles change names. And I read, I'm like, I'm covering this stuff, and I'm like, which one are you referring to? Because you're not making it clear in this article. I'm having problems sometimes reading these articles. So your money, the roads and bridges is bipartisan. or infrastructure or anything that has a quote with Lisa Murkowski, Kristen Eva, Joe Manchin, Mitt Romney, Chuck, or Mitch McConnell. If that has a quote, then that is that thing. Roads and bridges, not your money. If they refer to anything for the budget bill, the recon, reconciliation, anything with a Bernie Sanders quote associated with it, or a Tim Kaine, that's your money. It's over here. Okay. Now, next, it's important to note that when we get close to the finish line, news reporters like to sort of sometimes have these conclusory reports. They're awful. They sort of come to a conclusion before we're at a conclusion. Remember, until we have a vote, we don't have a conclusion. So you have to push purple power. Here's what I want you to remember if you're new, or if you're not, if never had this happen to you because you're a new viewer. Let me tell you what happened. In fall of 2020, a continuing resolution had to be done. A continuing resolution is something to run the budget of the country, run the country. No one had ever heard of putting stimulus into a continuing resolution. Whose idea was it? I came up with the idea. I came up solely with the idea. And I said, I need your support, viewers, to get that idea out to the legislator. CR for stimulus, or stimulus for CR. I said, put stimulus in CR. People thought I was wacko. Who puts stimulus into a continuing resolution? It's to run the government. It's not to run people's checks. And we pushed. And suddenly they started to buckle. And they said, yeah, we'll put stimulus in there. And then they came back and they said, hey, here's some unemployment stimulus in the CR. And we're like, that's really nice, but that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for some stimulus checks. So we pushed again. And we did seats for stimulus, saying, we're not going to elect you again if you don't give us a stimulus check. And they put it in there. It went from people thinking we're crazy, who puts stimulus into a CR, to getting it in there. And along the way, there was some conclusory news reports say, hey, the CR is done and there's no, America's going to go into February with no stimulus. I'm like, no, we're not done. The vote hasn't been called yet. And so that's why you have to continue to push purple power. A week ago today, the new jobless claims number were released. We're going to see those new update of the number today. What is that number? It's for the number of people who are unemployed that got laid off last week. These are people who had a job last year, still have the job this year, but showed up to work last week and got laid off. How many Americans? 375,000. Ouch, that's horrible. Wall Street's expecting 350,000. It's a horrible number. We're going to see what that number is this week. Today, we're going to see what that number is again. But you need to use these bad numbers for your benefit, because guess who looks at these numbers? The White House does. Janet Yellen, they said they do. They look at unemployment before anything else, and this is a bad number. Use that number to work for you. So call up your Democratic senators, your progressive senators, or if you don't have a Democratic senator, call up someone else's state senators that are Democrat, and say, hey, I know you're still working on the recon. You need to put these things in there. I'm going to tell you what you need to put in there. This is my opinion. I want to express my opinion. They want to hear from you. They're elected to hear from you. They want to hear from you. Don't call in up asking, when is it landing in my hand? The glazed donut is sort of delicious, but when am I getting the, don't give donut questions to a senator. Call up and say what you need. So if I've not covered the extension of unemployment benefits under forced stimulus and you think it should go in there, call them up and try to get it in there. They'll put it in there. It's spending $3.5 trillion. Don't have it all go to the cows. I'm not joking, actually, on that. Don't have it go all to the farmers. If you think that they need to put student loan debt forgiveness or mortgage forbearance or eviction moratorium or any of those other things in there, call them up and say, hey, you got to put them in there. And also push for those stimulus checks down to the finish line, because they made promises and they can change their promise. As Tim Kaine said, now we got the agreement on the 3.5, we now can figure out what goes into the 3.5. 3.5 is an enormous number, folks. They can really put a lot of stuff into 3.5 trillion. This is not 1.2 trillion. This is not 900 billion. This is 3.5 trillion. I can't express to you how enormous that number is. Don't have them spend all the money on, the cows, on sirloin. Have them spend money on you. You need to push. Stay positive, because you see how the news cycle went very quickly. Finally, here's a funny personal note. When Tuesday came around, in Tuesday morning, I told you that the bipartisan was falling apart. But by Tuesday evening, they reached an agreement. When I went to a conservative publication, there was really good reporting, and they don't write articles every 2 minutes. They, maybe every day or every half a day. And so what was the lead article on that publication, on that website by Tuesday night? The Tuesday morning article, which said everything was falling apart. So that's why you sort of have to be on top of everything, because things change very quickly. Things will change very quickly. If you went to that site by Wednesday morning, it still had the Tuesday morning article up there, which was no longer accurate because the news cycle had changed. That's why you guys stay with me. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video. 2,000-3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member. I'm next back with you with Mornings LA 9 a.m. I'll be live on air. Then Mornings Crypto 9:30. Then noontime at 11 a.m. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful morning. Always stay positive. Always stay focused. It's going to be a big day across the board. The toast was toasting, the coffee was brewing, and the butter is buttering, and we're far from over. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning, and stay with LA for more.